Charlemagne, and I am thrilled to welcome you to our class today.
And I am Teacher Jaya. We're both so excited to be your guides in this learning journey.
This learning session is all about a holistic understanding of peace and violence, and we've designed to be interactive, fun, and full of practical insights.
Exactly. This is going to be a space where we learn, make mistakes, ask questions, and most importantly, have fun while learning. Whether you're joining from your living room, your bedroom, or your cozy favorite spot, I'm thrilled you're here and ready to learn.
Feel free to ask questions, share your thoughts in the chat, and most importantly, stay curious. Let's get started and make this a great learning session. Okay, class, let's quiet our minds and get ready to begin our prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
So before we proceed, may I ask someone to recall the previous topics that the last reporters have tackled? Yes, Miss Rodeline? That's great, so thank you. Before we dive deeper into today's topic, I'd like us to pause and reflect for a moment. I have a few thought-provoking questions for you. These aren't just for answers, but to spark your curiosity and personal connection to what we're learning. Let's think about this together. First, how do cultural beliefs shape your understanding of peace in everyday life? So think about the values, traditions, or teachings in your family, community, or religion. How do they influence what you consider to be peaceful or peaceful behavior? 2. In which ways can violence exist even when there is no visible conflict? So consider emotional harm, social exclusion, discrimination, or injustice. Can peace exist? And last, why is it important to combine traditional and modern views in promoting a culture of peace? Some old values promote harmony, while modern ideas may support equality and rights. How can blending both help build a more peaceful society? Take a moment to reflect, and if you feel ready, share your thoughts in the chat or raise your hand to speak. Thank you all so much for your thoughtful responses and active participation today. Your insights are really added depth to our discussion and showed how meaningful this topic is.
Now, let's play a game called Peace Quest. In this game, we'll go on a journey, explore the true meaning of peace and violence. You will be presented with different scenarios, and your job is to decide whether each situation represents peace or not peace. You will be explorers on this quest, discovering new ways to think about peace and violence. There are no wrong answers, just moments of learning and growth. Ready to start? Let's see if you can spot true peace in all its forms. Scenario 1. A community with no wars but where people of a certain group are not allowed to speak freely. Response: not peace. Why? True peace is more than silence or lack of war. If people are afraid of silence, it means there's injustice, where each form of structural violence. Scenario 2. Two students from different cultures working together on a project and respecting each other's opinions. Response: peace. That's correct. This shows positive peace, not just avoiding conflict, but building harmony, inclusion, and respect between people. Scenario 3. A workplace where no one argues but employees are scared to voice ideas. Response: not peace. That's correct. Why? Fear and suppression, even without shouting or fighting, are forms of psychological or emotional violence. Fantastic work, everyone! Clap your hands! Yay!
Now that we're all geared up for our peace quest, let's take a moment to reflect on what we'll be learning today. As we play, we'll be diving deep into the holistic understanding of peace and violence, going beyond just wars and fights to explore how they show up in everyday life. So by the end of this lesson, you will identify the various cultural traditions that reflect broad and inclusive concepts of peace, differentiate secular perspectives on peace and violence from traditional cultural views, and analyze the interconnection between cultural and secular ideas to form a holistic understanding of peace and violence, and classify different types of violence and relate them to real-life scenarios. Let's embark this journey together and see how much we can discover.
Our topic for today is all about a holistic understanding of peace and violence. A holistic understanding means we look at peace and violence in a complete way, not just physical fighting, but also how people live, how they are treated, and what values guide their communities. It includes emotional, social, cultural, and environmental dimensions. So let's break down this into sub-topic. Let's begin. Number one is cultural tradition with a broad concept of peace. Indigenous and religious perspective on peace. Many traditional cultures and religions see peace as something deeply connected to human relationships, spirituality, and morality. For example, in Filipino culture, kapayapaan is not just no war. It includes inner calm, good relationship, and community order. Pakikipagkapwa means recognizing others as fellow human beings, treating them with respect, empathy, and dignity. It's seen as a pathway to peace. Among indigenous peoples like the Igorot or Lumad, peace is living in harmony with the land, respecting elders, and resolving conflict through dialogue rather than punishment. In Islam, Salam or peace is a central value, and in Christianity, Jesus is called the Prince of Peace. Both faiths promote compassion and forgiveness as tools for peace. So, harmony with nature, community, and spiritual balance. Peace isn't between people. Many cultures believe that the true peace includes harmony with the environment and a balanced spiritual life. Peace as more than the absence of war includes well-being, justice, and respect. Not just because there is no war doesn't mean there is peace. Real peace means people are treated fairly, have opportunities, and live with dignity. For example, a school where bullying is ignored might seem peaceful, but emotional violence is still present. A society without war but with racism, poverty, or inequality is not truly at peace. So now, let's proceed to the next subtopic.
So let's proceed with the next subtopic. It is the secular views or the concepts of peace and violence. So what do you mean by this? Secular views focus on peace and violence from a social, political, and scientific perspectives without relying on religious or spiritual frameworks. So here is it. The peace as human rights, rule of law, and social justice. So in secular frameworks, peace is not just about stopping war. It is about making sure that everyone's rights are respected, the law is fair, and society is just. So now here are the examples. First, a government that upholds freedom of speech, equal access to education, and legal protection for minorities helps create conditions of peace. Another one is social injustice programs like free legal aid for the poor and gender equality laws support peace by reducing inequality and ensuring rights are respected. Now, here is also Johann Galtong's ideas. Is to positive peace versus negative peace. So Galtong is a pioneer in peace studies, introduced two case concepts. The negative peace is when there is no direct violence of war, while the positive peace means the presence of justice, equality, and systems that support peace.
Our third subtopic is towards a holistic concept of peace and violence. So this means is to build a truly peaceful world. We need to combine insights from both cultural traditions and modern secular ideas. So here is the key points. Number one is integrating both cultural and secular viewpoints. Combining traditional cultural values with modern secular ideas give us a richer and more inclusive understanding of peace. The next key points are recognizing peace as multidimensional, personal, social, ecological, political. Peace isn't just between people or nations. It exists in many levels of life. It means personal peace, inner calm, emotional well-being, social peace, respectful relationships, no bullying or discrimination, ecological peace, caring for the environment, political peace, fair governance, equal laws, and citizen participation.
So before we proceed to the next subtopic, let's have an activity first so you will not be bored out. So this is called Violence Detectives. So here is the instruction. First, you will be divided into small groups. Each group will receive a case scenario, and then you work together to answer these guiding questions. So here are the questions. So such as what types of violence are present, and then who is affected, and also what factors like cultural, social, or systemic contribute to the violence. And fourth question is, what peaceful solutions or actions can be taken? So prepare a short summary of your analysis, can be presented or submitted. Be ready to share your thoughts with the class. Well done everyone! So give yourselves a magaling clap. So here it goes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Magaling, magaling, magaling. So thank you everyone for your active participation and thoughtful insights today. Your curiosity, teamwork, and openness to understand the deeper meanings of peace and violence truly made our discussion meaningful.
Okay class, let's continue the fourth subtopic, which is the types of violence. So the fourth subtopic is all about types of violence. So the first type of violence are direct violence. Direct violence refers to physical harm or aggression that is immediately visible and is meant to hurt, kill, or damage a person or group. This type of violence involves actions that directly harm others, often with the intention to cause suffering. So, for example, in war, soldiers attacking civilians or other military forces leading to injury, death, and destruction. In assault, a person physically attacking another, such as a fight that causes bodily harm. In some cases, direct violence can also occur in school bullying or workplace conflicts where people are physically harmed. The second type is structural violence. Structural violence refers to systemic inequality and social structures that prevent certain groups from accessing basic needs or rights. This type of violence is often invisible but has long-lasting effects on people's lives. It built into the systems that govern societies like the economy, education, or healthcare. For example, in poverty, people living in poverty may not have access to basic resources such as food, shelter, or healthcare, leading to suffering and death over time. In lack of education, in many regions, children from low-income families may not have access to quality education, trapping them in cycles of poverty and limiting future opportunities. The third type is cultural violence. Cultural violence refers to beliefs, customs, and ideologies that justify or make violence acceptable in society. This can be based on religion, tradition, or social norms. Cultural violence often normalize harmful practices and make them seem morally acceptable. For example, in gender inequality. In some cultures, there is a belief that women are inferior to men, leading to practices like forced marriages or restricting women's right to education and work. In religious extremism, in some cases, violence is justified in the name of religion, where certain interpretations promote hatred or violence against others who are seen as unworthy or different. The fourth type is psychological violence. Psychological violence involves actions or behaviors that cause emotional or mental harm, often mean manipulating or controlling another person's thoughts, emotion, or self-worth. It can be harder to recognize but has lasting effects on mental health. For example, in emotional abuse, this might include constant belittling, humiliation, or insult, causing someone to feel worthless and insecure. In gaslighting, a form of psychological abuse where a person manipulates another into doubting their own reality, memory, or sanity. For example, denying or distorting facts to make them feel victim or confused or powerless. The fifth type is the gender-based and domestic violence. Gender-based violence refers to harm inflicted specifically because of someone's gender. Domestic violence occurs in intimate or family relationships and often involves control, intimidation, and abuse. This type of violence disproportionately affects women and can take many forms including physical, emotional, and sexual violence. For example, in domestic violence, a partner hitting, controlling, or emotionally abusing their spouse or child in a home setting. In sexual harassment or assault, women or men being harassed or assaulted because of their gender, often happening in workplaces, public places, or even at home. This can include unwanted sexual comments, touch, or threats. Now, I want you to reflect on these ideas through short personal activity called Peace Lens, my reflection journal. The instruction is reflect on your personal experiences, community, and what you've learned about peace and violence. Submit your work through Google Classroom, or you may also create a visual like drawing, poster, poem, or short video to express your reflections. This will help you connect what we've learned today to your real life because peace starts with awareness and awareness starts with you. Okay, class? Okay, very good. So, we will conduct an evaluation to be followed up in our group chat. Check it out and make sure to submit on Monday, 9:30 a.m.
That's right. As we end, I invite you to reflect on this. Peace begins with awareness of ourselves, our communities, and and the systems we live in. Whether through small acts of kindness, standing up against justice, or learning to listen and understand others, you each have the power to be a peace builder in your own way. Thank you for your active participation, thoughtful insights, and openness today. Let's carry the spirit of peace beyond this session and continue the journey together. So this is Jaya Elesterio,
And I'm teacher Charlemagne.
class dismissed, and may peace be